Are you looking for more listings with zero budget? This is your show. Hey, welcome to the Tom Ferry Show. Today, I'm answering your questions ranging from no budget, how do I get listings? How do I get out of a rut or out of my head? How do I leverage? And Tom, what is the magic bullet? Well, I can tell you guys, you know I thrive on answering your questions, whether it's here at tomferry.com or YouTube or Facebook. Today, I'm going deep with a whole bunch of great questions. Let's jump right in. Heath Thomas asked, hey Tom, what's the best way to build a listing pipeline on sweat equity? Heath, I love the question because it really helps everybody out there. Now remember, if you're in Europe, it's going to be different. If you're in Mexico, it's going to be different. Maybe even parts of North America, Canada, and the US, Australia, etc. So Heath, I'm assuming these four are the right for you. Number one, you want to focus your marketing and prospecting efforts around recent sales. We know that when one home sells, usually two more sell right away, especially if that home had multiple offers. Even if it wasn't your transaction, you can piggyback on the momentum of the market by knocking on their door and saying, I know you know the Joneses house sold. Did you hear it had 5 offers? That means 4 offers are crying right now, and you got 1 new neighbor. So I want to talk to you about those 4. Have you had any thoughts of selling? You know, using that kind of very direct marketing approach is going to cause you to win. Over the phone is great, face-to-face, always better. Number 2, I wrote down, obviously, for sale by owners. Getting into the marketplace, knocking on their doors, making phone calls, scheduling a chance to preview their home. And then you know what, at the end of the day, you can go back and look at the archives of content that I've created around this, campaigns that our clients have used so successfully. Here's all it comes down to. There's 10 people you talk to. 3 are actually interested in hiring a real estate agent. We know the numbers from FSBR. It's around 61 days of being on the market before they finally say, forget it, this isn't working. So going after the fastest source of business opportunity costs you no money. You just got to have the skills. Number 3, of course, expired listings. There is a shocking number of expired listings so far this year. Why? Because the sellers know it's a seller's market, and what are they doing? They're overpricing properties, giving you an opportunity to repackage and reposition those properties and ultimately get them on their way. So if that's not in your marketing plan, you need to add it in. And then the last one I wrote down, of course, make sure you're bringing value to your database. One of the things that I'm recommending to people is, what a wonderful idea now to go back and do what we were doing in 2010, 11, and 12, where you actually create like a little 3 to 4 minutes CMA on every person inside your database. Imagine this, you're gonna send 3 to 4 CMAs a day in the mail with a note, right? Dear Richard, dear June, I was thinking about you the other day and I thought you would love to see the stats, the actual value of your home. Please take the time to review it. And of course, you can add a photo, you can use Google to map it, you can make it special, you can make it unique, and at the end of the day, what are you doing? You're bringing your clients value, whether they're past clients or their sphere or their leads. We know that the vast majority of people do not know the real value of their home. And as we've heard from Steve Harney and so many other economists, that if we can be the knowledge broker and we can educate those customers, you're gonna get a percentage of them that are ready to go. So those would be my 4 things, Heath. Let me know in the comments below which ones you decide to do. And for everybody watching, what are the 3 or 4 that you think Heath should do as well? All right, let's go to Lynn Fitzgerald. Lynn asked, hey Tom, I'm dealing with some anxiety in getting back on track. She said, when some things are just off in my personal life, how do you stay focused? What are your tricks? What are your habits? What do you do? Now, what's interesting is I look at this question and it's not unlike a really long-time amazing client of mine, Christoph Chu, who said, Tom, what do you do when you're feeling discouraged? You take the big listing and the deal falls apart or it doesn't sell. Lynn and Christoph are asking the same question. The answer is, I don't get frustrated anymore. I don't get disappointed. What I do now and then is I get upset and I get pissed off. Do you want to know why? Because when I get that anger going, and I don't mean like running around and stomping and why did this happen to me? I mean, gosh darn it, what are we going to learn from this? What was the mistake we made? Where did we go wrong? What are we going to do better? Come on, team, let's go. I get pissed off and it gets me right back into action. So I don't give myself time to wallow anymore. You know what? Nobody cares. So Lynn, you know me, you know where my heart is. No one cares. Get over it. Christoph, move forward. Do you want to know how I solve it? I get pissed and I get into action. I get pissed and then I get into action. And the more action I take, the faster that stuff goes away. Be clear, my friends, if you're ever in a rut, if you're ever feeling depressed, you also physically have to do it. So why don't you move your body in a powerful way, pick up the phone, call 5 past clients, call one of your current listings who loves you, call your most recent sale and check in. You do this, and you know what happens? You remind yourself, I'm Christoph Chu, let's go. I'm Lit Fitzgerald, let's get back into action, and boom, it's game on. Now, pretty easy to say that, right? Pretty easy to say it. It takes conditioning. You got to remind yourself. You got to say to your 3, 4, 5 friends inside the office, you got to give them permission to call you out on it. Hey, if you see me being, Eeyore, Winnie the Pooh, things aren't that great, I want you to walk up and smack me in the head. See, if you create the people around you, you give them permission to hold you accountable to the standards I know that you have for yourself, you know what? They're going to do it for you. And you'll do the same when they need it as well. And that's what it's about. So that's my advice. Let's keep going. Great question here. Peggy Bouchard, right, amazing agent, said, Tom, she's a top producer, she wants more. She said, what's one thing you would suggest that a high producing agent needs to do to get more? And of course, she just said more of everything. Well, Peggy, the bottom line, and you know this, is it comes down to leverage. It's leverage. So Peggy, what do we have to do? You have to get a list and say, what are all the things I do that have massive value, that are impossible for me to replace? Now, Peggy, you and I both know that only comes down to you following up with leads, you going on appointments, you negotiating, and perhaps you overseeing the marketing, not doing the marketing, but overseeing the marketing and writing the strategy for your business. Everything else can be outsourced or delegated. How do you take your business to the next level? You stop doing the $10 an hour work. You stop doing the things you always did when your production was lower that now gobbles up so much of your time. I can't name the name, but I've got an amazing client who is such a rock star who said to me one time, but Tom, you don't understand. I always go on every first showing, and here's why. And I said to her, that made a lot of sense when you had 5 listings. But now that you have almost 30 with no lock boxes, all you're doing all day long is showing these listings, which means you're not getting any, and you go rich, less, rich, less. So I said to her, what if you just let go of it? What if we hired somebody that was a specialist? What if you found someone and you took the time to mold them and help them? Now I know for the first couple weeks, they're not gonna be as good as you. No one's gonna be as good as you. You're a control freak. You've been doing this forever. But you know what? After 30 days, after a little testing and a little practice and giving them a little rope and letting them get out there and try it, 2 things are gonna happen. Number 1, they're gonna become really good at it too. And number 2, you now have all that extra free time, Peggy. So ask yourself, where is your control freakedness showing up and saying, I'm the only one that can input my listings. I'm the only one that can create my marketing, when you and I both know you are at your very best when you're knee to knee, belly to belly at somebody's house, talking about getting their home on the market or selling them a property. Do more of that, let everything else go. You do that, your production soars to the next level. All right, let's keep going. Gia Silva, amazing agent. Speaking of FSBOs, this gal crushed it at the summit last year, teaching us her strategy for sale by owners. Her and James have got an amazing business. She asked Tom, what is your absolute non-negotiable, must-achieve, wildly important goal? I like that question. I would say that really it's 2 things for me, and maybe this is just the evolution of life and business and maturity. it's health and relationships. Like, those are my non-negotiables. Taking the time to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to make sure I'm physically and mentally right, and a great husband and a great father. You know, a great friend, being in great relationships. Because at the end of the day, money's easy, right? And business is, it's easier, you know what I mean? It's easier than all that stuff. So I would tell you those are my non-negotiables. And of course, yes, I want to make money and I want to serve and I want to have an impact, and all of that's important. But you asked me, like, what's my absolute non-negotiable? Health and family. That's it for me. Next one. Matt Thomas asked, hey Tom, how do I respond to an online lead basically? What's the best first response in email or text to an online lead who's inquired about a particular house? Now Matt, there's been so much work documented on this. At the end of the day, ready? When would you like to see that home? When would you like to schedule an appointment to see 1234 Banana Street? My experience, and the experience of so many others, is you go directly to getting an appointment. That's where you win. Because the person inquiring today online, yes, I know there's some out there that are just screwing around and saying their name is Mickey Mouse at, AOL.com. I'm not referring to those. I'm talking about the legitimate, Tom and Kathy Ferry, here's my cell phone, here's my email. I clicked on this property, I'm on a listing portal, I want more information, I'm asking for more information. We gotta give that person what they want. When would you like to schedule a time to see the property? That, my friend, will absolutely help you crush it. You could do it in video, you can do it in text, you can do it in email, but the best people will tell you, do it in all three. All right, Lori Carlson said, hey, what's up with this level 10 health stuff? Thank you. Yes, my wife Kathy Ferry and her nutritionist Pam Jacobson did create 3 products. You're gonna see more about it on tomferry.com. If you are the kind of person that likes energy, likes focus, and wants more power, check it out. All right, moving right along here. Ann Eliason, I hope I'm saying that correct, Ann. Ann is a rock star agent, ladies and gentlemen. She is, top 5 in all of Kauai, in Hawaii. So Ann, first of all, just big shout out to you and your success. Your 2 questions are fabulous. They're very different. On one hand, she's like, I have this level of success, but I really don't have my why. Like, I don't feel like I've got that drive, that motivating factor, even though, Ann, my goodness, you're a rock star. But I get it. I know what you mean. So let me answer your first question first. What I would tell you is you live in paradise, right? There was a reason why you live in paradise. What was it? What was that original calling? What was the original drive? What was the initial lifestyle goal that caused you to make that decision, right? You could have ended up on any other place on the planet, but you chose to be there. So why? I'd ask you that question. Then I'd also ask you to think about that question that we talked about on the last Tom Ferry show, or maybe a few ago. What's your purpose? What drives you today? What motivates you today? See, some people desperately want to be number 1, and that's enough to get them there. Other people say, I want to contribute and give back, and that's what does it for them. I would just say to you, take the time to reflect and to be quiet and to maybe journal, and don't make it a big issue that you don't have it answered now, but instead make it a part of the journey. That's what I've had to do for going on 3 decades, because the why adjusts sometimes year in and year out, and sometimes even over decades. So Ann, I'm so proud of you, and thank you for asking. Big shout out to you. The second question you asked, interesting enough, was around lead conversion. So ready? I also know that I need to 10x my lead conversion sales and systems. I'm doing the basic things like actually calling them and following up, etc., but I'm not getting the conversion rates that I want, or I should. What do you recommend? So we believe that you should always be looking at the lead funnel and asking yourself, what are the incremental adjustments I could make? And you've already solved the first part. The lead comes in, you call, you text, you email. That's good. Have you considered trying to get them on LinkedIn? Have you tried to ping them on Facebook? Have you tried to get them on Instagram? Right? Maybe that's a subtle little adjustment that you can add to up your conversion. Remember, we all are choosing these different platforms where we're most comfortable to communicate. So I want to make sure I'm maximizing that. The second one is, if you're not using video, we know that the moment you incorporate a video, hey Ann, Tom Ferry, thank you so much for coming by and looking at 1234 Banana Street. I see that you're in Minnesota. It's gotta be cold there. We'd love to have you on the islands. When would you like to schedule a time to see some properties? When are you gonna be here? Let me know. And you email or text the video. That's another way. You working in your marketplace know it's really about that instant connection and then how you're bringing them value over time. We have discovered by increasing video and increasing all the other social platforms as a way to touch the customer, we drove our overall conversion from 3.5 to over 5% because we followed up over time and made sure that it wasn't just one video, but it was multiple videos. It wasn't one touch on Facebook or a private message, but it was multiple touches. So sometimes, Ann, it's just the little things that you do with greater repetition, not just the set it and forget it follow-up campaign that many people have, especially working in a resort market like yours, and quite honestly, for everyone watching. And again, big shout out to you. Congratulations. Hope you have another insanely great year. All right, looking down the list, I've got time for one more question. Myra asked, basically, what's the best time to make calls? Myra Zapata, what's the best time to make calls? I find that during the day I get too many voicemails. People are at work. Is Saturday the best? There's been a lot of research on this. We actually did a Tom Ferry show. Maybe, Mark, we can put it up on the list or maybe put the stats that between 8 and 10, then again between 4 and 6, you've got the highest probability of reaching people over the phone. 8 to 10, 4 to 6. Same with your prospecting, same with your follow-up. No doubt, the later you go in the evening, the higher the conversations are going to be. And of course, on Saturdays and Sundays, you're going to have it. The key, though, for us is we have that hour of power, that daily discipline to do the numbers, to talk to people, our past clients in Sphere and those new prospects every day. We want that discipline. So start early. That'd be my first recommendation. And then do some follow-up later at the end of the day. And if you want to throw in a Mad Woman appointment setting session on Saturday, I'm behind you all the way. All right, last question. And this was really interesting because my team said this is like the thing that we get all the time when we ask for questions. Everybody's looking for that one thing. Like, Tom, what's that one thing I can do? What's that one magic tip? What's that one best hack? So I want to give you a little heads up. There is no one thing. It is about taking on a life of experimentation, right? Of living under the mindset of ABT. Always be testing. It's never one thing, my friends. Like talking with Ann to become wildly successful at her level and take it to the next level, it's not doing the 1 or 2 things in her follow-up. It's testing 3, 4, 5, 6 things to find the one that sparks, that lights it up, that books more business, that moves her conversion from 3 to 5 or to 7, or people like Becky Garcia, who's converting at like 10, 12, 13% from Zillow because she's doing all those things I mentioned. So my friend, you're watching this show every week. I want to just implore you to not watch this looking for the one thing, but always, what are 2 or 3 things I can add into my repertoire? What are 2 or 3 things I can test, tweak, and adjust? Because if there was only one way to do it, believe me, I'd share it. Thanks so much for watching. Remember always, your strategy matters, and now more than ever, your execution is what absolutely rules. See you soon. Hey, it's Coach Tom Ferry. Have you been considering hiring a coach? If so, click the link below and check out what we do.